The morning sun glinted off my food truck's polished steel surface as I prepared for another day in downtown Boston. The Wild Fusion was painted in bold, artistic letters across the side, along with the logo I'd designed myself, a perfect blend of sophistication and street food charm. Sophia, darling, you can't seriously still be doing this. My sister Diana's voice cut through the morning air, dripping with disdain. She stood on the sidewalk in her Louboutins, looking completely out of place among the early morning commuters. I continued prepping my signature Korean-Mexican fusion dishes, the recipes that had earned me a cult following among food critics. Not that my family knew about those reviews. Good morning to you too, Diana. Surprising to see you in this part of town. Daddy sent me to talk some sense into you. She wrinkled her nose at the scent of marinating bulgogi. The Anderson family is coming to dinner tonight at Lumeone. You remember their son Michael? He's now managing 3 of our restaurant locations. Daddy thinks it's time you stopped this foolishness and joined the family business properly. Ah, Lumeone, the crown jewel of my family's restaurant empire, Sterling Restaurant Group. If they only knew that 6 months ago, I'd quietly purchased a controlling interest through my investment firm Hidden Spice Ventures. I'm quite happy with my food truck, thank you. I expertly flipped a Korean pancake, hiding my smile as I thought about the documents waiting in my other office, my real office, detailing my latest acquisition of their biggest competitor. Diana leaned against the truck, careful not to actually touch it. Sophia, you're 33. Don't you think it's time to grow up? The Sterling name means something in the restaurant industry. We own 30 high-end restaurants across New England, and you're serving street food from a truck. What Diana didn't know was that while she was busy playing restaurant royalty, I'd built Hidden Spice Ventures into one of the largest restaurant investment firms in the country. My food truck? It was my test kitchen, my cover story, and my passion project all in one. The shareholders' meeting is next week, Diana continued, checking her manicure. Daddy's announcing some major expansion plans. But instead of being there as a Sterling, you'll be out here, slinging tacos to office workers. I bit back a laugh, thinking about the certified letter I'd had delivered to our family's corporate headquarters yesterday. The one revealing that Hidden Spice Ventures now owned 51% of Sterling Restaurant Group's shares. How's the new menu at Lumeone doing? I asked innocently, knowing exactly how their numbers looked. I heard the recent changes weren't going over well with regular customers. Diana's perfectly maintained smile faltered slightly. Just some minor adjustments. Nothing Daddy can't handle. Unlike some people, he understands fine dining. If she only knew that those minor adjustments were carefully orchestrated by me, through discreet suggestions from various shell companies I controlled. Every failed menu change, every slight decline in ratings, all part of my plan to drive down their stock price before my final takeover. Speaking of handling things, Diana smirked, pulling out her phone, have you seen the latest restaurant rankings? Lumeone is still at the top while food trucks, well, they don't even make the list. I smiled, thinking of the food critics' blog post sitting in my draft folder, the one revealing that the mysterious Wild Fusion truck was actually outperforming most high-end restaurants in blind taste tests. I'd been sitting on that story waiting for the perfect moment. You know, Diana, I said, plating a perfect fusion bowl for a regular customer. Success comes in many forms. Sometimes it's a fancy restaurant and sometimes... I handed the customer their order, receiving a knowing smile in return. They were actually the food critic who'd written that pending review. Sometimes it's just good food served with passion. Passion doesn't pay bills, Diana scoffed, already turning to leave. Don't forget about dinner tonight. Though I doubt you have anything suitable to wear to Lumeone anymore. Little did she know that I owned the building Lumeone operated in, along with half the restaurant properties in the city. My suitable wardrobe was safely stored in my penthouse office, ready for next week's shareholders' meeting. That evening, I sat at the family's regular table at Lumeone, wearing a designer dress that cost more than my food truck's monthly revenue, not that they needed to know that. The crystal chandelier cast elegant shadows across the white tablecloths as my family discussed their empire's future, blissfully unaware of the storm about to break. The Anderson merger will secure our position, my father declared, swirling his expensive wine. Michael's experience combined with our brand recognition will be unstoppable. I hid my smile behind my water glass, thinking about the merger documents hidden in my briefcase. The Andersons had secretly sold their shares to Hidden Spice Ventures last month, making my takeover of Sterling Restaurant Group even more secure. If only everyone understood the importance of proper dining, my mother sighed, looking pointedly at me. Instead of this trend of mobile food venues. Michael Anderson, sitting across from me, jumped on the opportunity. "Oh yes, I saw your, establishment this morning, Sophia. How quaint. Though surely you must miss real restaurants." I thought about my portfolio of real restaurants, over 200 high-end establishments across the country, all quietly owned through various subsidiaries of Hidden Spice Ventures. "I find authenticity has its own appeal," I replied diplomatically. "Authenticity doesn't build empires," Diana interjected. "Speaking of which, Daddy, tell everyone about the expansion plans." My father puffed up with pride. "We're announcing a major acquisition next week. Sterling Restaurant Group is about to become the largest luxury dining corporation in New England." "Really?" I asked innocently, knowing their financing for this supposed acquisition had already fallen through thanks to some careful maneuvering by my investment team. "That sounds ambitious." "The shareholders' meeting will be quite something," Michael added, reaching for Diana's hand. "Perhaps afterward we could discuss your future in the company. In a more appropriate role." Just then my phone buzzed, a text from my CFO. "Final shares secured. We now own 62% of Sterling Restaurant Group. Legal team ready for tomorrow's announcement." "Actually," I said, setting down my phone, "I have some business to attend to tomorrow. I won't be able to make it to the food truck." Diana nearly choked on her wine. "Business? Taking a day off from serving tacos?" "Something like that." I smiled, thinking of the conference room where tomorrow's real meeting would take place. My conference room at the top of the city's most prestigious office tower. "Well, at least you're showing some sense," my father said gruffly. "That food truck was always beneath a Sterling." I excused myself to the restroom, but instead slipped into the restaurant's office. The manager, who reported to me, not that my family knew, handed me the latest financial reports. Every Sterling restaurant was underperforming, exactly as I'd planned. Their once mighty empire was ripe for takeover. Returning to the table, I listened as they continued planning their imaginary expansion. Every now and then my phone would buzz with updates from my real business empire, new acquisitions, market analyses, and preparation details for tomorrow's revelation. "To the future of Sterling Restaurant Group," my father toasted, raising his glass. "And to proper restaurants." I raised my glass as well, thinking about how different that future would be from what they imagined. "To the future," I agreed. "It's closer than you think." The next morning I stood in my private office at Hidden Spice Ventures, 60 floors above the city streets where my food truck usually parked. My assistant, Jack, reviewed the final preparations for the shareholders' meeting. "Your family has arrived in the main lobby," he reported, showing me the security feed. "Your father's demanding to know why the meeting was moved here. Diana's already threatened to fire 3 receptionists." I smoothed down my custom-made suit, a far cry from my food truck apron. "Let them wait 5 minutes, then bring them to the main conference room. Jack, make sure the catering is set up exactly as I specified." The catering in question? A gourmet spread featuring elevated versions of my food truck's greatest hits, prepared by the Michelin-starred chefs I'd quietly hired over the years. I watched on the monitors as my family was escorted into the conference room. Their confusion was evident as they took in the Hidden Spice Ventures logo dominating the wall, the spectacular city views, and the elaborate fusion food display. "What is this place?" Diana demanded, picking up a name card. "And why are there Korean-Mexican appetizers at a shareholders' meeting?" The door opened and I walked in. The room fell silent. "Good morning," I said calmly, taking my place at the head of the table. "Welcome to Hidden Spice Ventures headquarters." "Sophia." My father stood abruptly. "What are you doing here? Where are the real shareholders?" "Oh, they're here." I nodded to Jack, who began distributing folders. "In fact, you're looking at the majority shareholder of Sterling Restaurant Group." Michael Anderson dropped his glass of water. "That's impossible. The Andersons sold their shares to Hidden Spice Ventures." "Exactly," I smiled. "My company." Did you never wonder why that food truck was always parked near your highest performing restaurants? How certain locations started struggling after I appeared? I wasn't just selling fusion tacos, I was conducting market research, gathering intelligence and building my own empire while you were busy mocking mine. Diana grabbed the folder, her hands shaking as she read. This can't be real. You own everything. Hidden Spice Ventures controls not just Sterling Restaurant Group, but also 20 other major restaurant chains across the country. That food truck you found so embarrassing? It's where I test new concepts before rolling them out to my restaurant portfolio. Those street food recipes you mocked? They're about to become Lumeone's new signature fusion menu. My father slumped in his chair. But the expansion plans were never going to happen, I finished. I made sure your financing fell through. Every major bank in the industry answers to Hidden Spice Ventures now. Just like your executive board, your suppliers, and as of this morning, your entire company. I pressed a button and screens around the room lit up showing my full portfolio, hundreds of restaurants, food chains, and hospitality ventures across the globe. That's why we're here today. Sterling Restaurant Group is being absorbed into Hidden Spice Ventures. You can either adapt to the new management structure, under my leadership, or step aside. This is ridiculous, Diana sputtered. You can't just take over our family's legacy. I picked up one of the appetizers, my signature Korean barbecue slider that food critics had raved about. I already have. Try this, by the way. It's from that embarrassing food truck you love to mock. It's also the most popular item at my restaurants in Seoul, New York, and Paris. The room fell silent as the full impact of my revelation sank in. Years of careful planning, of playing the black sheep while quietly building something far bigger than their precious family legacy, had led to this moment. The choice is yours, I continued, sliding contracts across the table. Stay and work for me, learning what real innovation in the restaurant industry looks like, or cash out now. Either way, Sterling Restaurant Group is mine. My father picked up the contract, his hand trembling slightly. All this time, while we thought you were wasting your potential, I was building an empire that makes Sterling look like a single food truck, I finished. Now, shall we discuss the future of luxury dining? I have some ideas about combining high-end restaurants with gourmet food trucks. A fusion, you might say, of old money and new vision. As my family sat there, stunned into silence, Jack began serving my signature dishes. The same food they dismissed as street fare was now being presented on fine china, under the logo of one of the largest restaurant investment firms in the world. Welcome to my empire, I said, raising a glass. I do hope you'll stay for lunch. The chef comes highly recommended. You might know her from that little food truck downtown.